What do you think of as soft rock? Maybe AM Gold tracks from the 70s? There's a lot of newer acts today leading a sort of soft rock revival, and one of the best is Dawes. My review of their new album, Passwords, is coming up next on Track by Track. Hey everybody, my name's Kyle and this is Track by Track, music reviews, news, and commentary. Thanks for tuning in today, and if this is your first time here, please take a second to click subscribe so that you won't miss future reviews and more. Over the past few years, Dawes has become a sort of go-to band for me. I don't want to necessarily say they're one of my favorites. I don't think I'm quite there with them yet, but they're a go-to band for me in that pretty much whatever mood I'm in, I can put on one of their albums and it seems to fit just right. I often see their genre described as folk rock or indie rock, but to me, using folk as part of the description just doesn't feel quite right. When I first heard Dawes, I was struck by how much they sounded like Jackson Browne, both musically and occasionally in Taylor Goldsmith's vocals. Now, I've always thought of Jackson Browne as more of a soft rock act. That's a genre label that seems to be unfairly pejorative. I'd say it covers a lot of great acts like the Eagles, Neil Young, Warren Zevon, and occasionally even Bruce Springsteen. More recently, I'd even put Father John Misty and Ray LaMontagne into that category. Am I wrong? Ultimately, that also feels like the best genre under which to classify Dawes, especially considering their very latest album. Passwords is the group's 6th album and arguably their most mellow effort to date. If I didn't know better, I'd think this was maybe a breakup-inspired album, just based on the number of songs that seem to be ruminating on relationships gone wrong. But in real life, frontman Taylor Goldsmith has recently gotten engaged to singer and This Is Us actress Mandy Moore. So I'm not sure where the inspiration comes from for so much of the, shall we say, downer material on this album. That kind of vibe surprised me quite a bit, in fact. While I wouldn't have necessarily described Dawes' music generally as happy feel-good songs, I at least seem to feel good listening to them most of the time. With the songs on Passwords, more often than not, I come away feeling a little bummed out. And that's not to say that they're bad songs by any means, but this is definitely music for a mellower mood than we usually experience with this band. The album is deceptive at first. It opens with Living in the Future, a track that also serves as the first single from the album. Even though it's a mid-tempo track, it's also the heaviest song on the album, the only one to prominently feature fuzzy, distorted electric guitars. It's also got a really epic feeling chorus with lush synth strings that we'll hear a lot more of as the album goes on. But it's also a song that seems to have a bit of a pessimistic outlook. Just take the very topical lyric that says, "If you won't sing the anthem, they will find someone else who will. They're cracking down." This is the only really political song on the album, and as social criticism goes, it's fairly tame. But after that opening shot of decidedly alt-rock angst, Dawes shifts into soft rock for the remainder of the song cycle. And while I wouldn't say that the music is a real departure from the usual Dawes sound, there is definitely an 80s retro thing going on here. Now, when I say 80s, you probably get a certain idea of what that sounds like, so let me clarify. The songs actually feel like the kind of soft rock hits you might have heard on the radio during that decade, from acts like Michael McDonald, Don Henley, and especially Bruce Hornsby. Crack the Case is a perfect example. The song opens with a piano intro reminiscent of The Way It Is, before the guitars and drums come in. As the song goes on, I definitely get an End of the Innocence vibe also. Then on Feed the Fire, you'd swear somebody put on a Steely Dan record. The guitar solo could well be performed by the ghost of Walter Becker. And earlier I mentioned a Jackson Browne comparison. I hear that a bit on this album as well. There's a little bit of that in My Greatest Invention, and especially on this album's excellent closing track, Time Flies Either Way. Both of these songs have the kind of great storytelling that Dawes is known for, and I also like the interplay between the piano and sax on Time Flies. Definitely an album highlight. I don't want to characterize everything as being derivative here, though. I mean, I think it's fair to say that this band tends to wear both their hearts and their influences pretty boldly on their sleeve, but there's still a number of tracks that are trademark Dawes here. Both Stay Down and Never Gonna Say Goodbye are solid songs that would fit on any of Dawes' previous albums. And on Telescope, I love the cool rhythm that the song is built around with the bass and piano, but it has to be said that the space-age synth solo sounds more than a little like Pink Floyd. While there's no huge missteps on this album, I do find the song Mistakes We Should Have Made to be a bit of an odd bird. It opens with an extremely 80s pop drum beat that seems a little cliche, but then the acoustic guitar comes in with this really rich organic tone that counterbalances the lush synth strings really well. A female duo Lucius contribute backing vocals on the track, which are subtle at first, but then become a little cringeworthy on the song's bizarre bridge with its weird arpeggiated synthesizer that comes out of nowhere. It doesn't quite work for me, or more to the point, it doesn't quite work for Dawes. Funnily enough, what it sounds like to me is a Bare Naked Ladies song. Not one of the goofy ones, but one of Ed Robertson's straightforward pop songs. In BNL's hands, this song might have worked fine as is. For Dawes, though, I feel like they needed to dial things back a bit. In the end, I think what we have here is yet another solid Dawes album, but it's definitely one for a specific kind of mood. And it's not that Dawes hasn't done mellow songs before, it's just that they've usually peppered them in amongst a variety of more upbeat tracks. But while the mood on this album may be decidedly and consistently downbeat, there's still as much sonic variety as ever within this latest song cycle. That's one thing that I definitely appreciate with this band. It's that on every album, from song to song, no two tracks sound the same or even similar. That works even more to their benefit when they play live. I saw them in concert last year, and while they played for almost 3 hours, the set never felt tedious or repetitive. I'm sure many of these new songs will sound great mixed into their live set. On the album, though, I can't help but feel like I need a pick-me-up every few songs. But if you're in the mood for more of a rainy day kind of record, this one should fit the bill. So, I'm giving Passwords by Dawes an X rating of 6 out of 10. It's an uncharacteristically mellow affair from a band helping to define soft rock for a new generation. Once again, my name's Kyle, and this has been Track by Track. If you liked this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, plus check out some of these other videos below that I think you might also enjoy. And of course, be sure to subscribe, because true music fans always want new releases the day they come out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.